So, dear student, very good afternoon to you all. I welcome you into the industrial pharmacy first. Dear student, we have started the cosmetic and today we will going to discuss few of the things associated with the remaining, that is the lipsticks, shampoos and the hair dyes. As far as the cold cream, vanishing cream and the toothpaste are concerned, that already we had covered in our previous lecture. As far as what these are, what are their ideal properties, how these are going to be formulated, how these are going to be manufactured, and how these are going to be evaluated. In the same line, today we will discuss few of the things that are associated with the shampoos, hair dyes, and the lipsticks. So we have to go through the formulation and evaluation of the shampoos, hair dyes. Then we will see some of the introductory point related with the lipsticks. Then we will see the formulation, method of preparation and evaluation for the lipstick. So in order to study all this, we will move through, like say, the introduction to the shampoos, ideal requirements, then raw material and evaluation, then the ideal properties of the lipsticks, raw materials for formulation of lipstick, evaluation, and then we will see the some of the point that are important from these formulation point of view. Again, these are the formulation which are falling under the category which is said to be the cosmetic. So let us begin with the very first, that is said to be the shampoos. We know that shampoos, these are used, these are to be applied onto the hairs, and these are to be applied in order to clean the hairs, to make it soft, to make it shiny, as well as strong hairs. So this is the kind of cosmetic preparation that is used for cleansing of the hairs, and it includes the removal of the dust, oil, sebum, and the debris. So they will clean the hair by removing all these, and they will produce their cleaning action onto the hairs. As far as the shampoos are concerned, it should be effectively and completely remove the dust and soil. It should produce a good amount of foam. It should be easily removed on rinsing with water, and it should leave the hair non-dry, soft, and the lustrous. It should impart a pleasant fragrance to the air, and it should not make the hand rough and chapped. When we are using at that time, the hands, they should not affect their natural nature, or they should not become rough, or they should not affect their integrity. So same is the case associated with the hairs also. The hair, they should become lustrous, they become soft, they should remain into the moist condition. So this is the classification. The shampoos, they had been classified as normal shampoos, herbal shampoos, and the anti-dandruff shampoos. Normal shampoo, that is generally for the process of cleaning, for the making the hairs lustrous, for making them shiny and soft. The anti-dandruff shampoo, these are the product with the medicinal compound, with the medicinal component. So that is used in order to treat various kinds of the disorders associated with the hairs and the scalp region. Most basically the dandruff, right? Dandruff, that is nothing but the scaly condition of the scalp skin. So in order to treat that dandruff condition, the anti-dandruff shampoos, these are going to be used. And there are herbal shampoos like say Kesh Kanti, or say the Avlas, isn't it? Amla shampoos and all. So if you see the different kinds of raw materials that are used in case of the shampoos, generally the raw material that are used for the cleansing action, these are nothing but the detergents. So detergents, they will particularly work as a surfactant. It will lower the surface tension between the water and the sebum, and these are used for the process of cleansing of the hairs. They will be of different types. There will be anionic surfactant, cationic surfactant, and the non-ionic surfactant. And based on their efficiency and the compatibility, the cationic surfactant, these are very widely used in order to clean the hairs. In addition to cleansing agent, there is need to add this thickening agent. Thickening agent, that is in order to impart the consistency to that of the formulation. So the product that should not be too much thin so that it will be drained out easily during application to the hairs, and it should not be too much thick so that it is very difficult to apply. At the same time, it is very difficult to clean, right, onto the hairs. So that's why there is a need to go for selection of a proper concentration and proper type of thickening agent in order to make the product consistency that is suitable, that is optimum for their use. Generally, the cellulose derivatives and the polymers of the acrylic acid and the vinyl pyrrolidone, these are used as a thickening agent. Some of the aesthetic agents, these are going to be added in order to offer the aesthetic property. These include additives which will enhance the appearance, color, and smell of the mixture. So generally, these are used in order to improve the hair condition, and they can also control the acidity of the shampoo. The examples like say the polycotroniums, silicone additives, proteins, and amino acids, ceramides, panthenol, glutamic acid derivatives. These are generally added as a aesthetic additives in case of the shampoos. Conditioning agents. The conditioning agent, these are going to be added into the shampoos, and these are used to provide the strength to that of the hairs. These agents, they will greatly improve the combing and the anti-static properties when used in the low concentration of 0.1 to 0.5%. The various examples of the conditioning agents like say vegetable oils, waxes, lecithin, and lanolin derivatives, protein hydrolysate like collagen, silk, animal proteins, quaternary ammonium compounds, and the silicones along with the dimethicopolyols. These are generally added. Preservatives, shampoos, in order to protect them from the bacterial contamination and any kind of decomposition, the preservatives, they need to be added. Generally, the parabens like say methyl paraben, the different kinds of organic acids and their derivatives like say para-hydroxybenzoic acid ester, salicylic, and the sorbic acid. These are added as a acids with the preservative property. The formaldehyde releasers like say for example 1,3-dimethylol 5,5 dimethyl hydroxide. These can be added as a preservative. Pearlizers and the opacifier, these are the agent in order to offer the shiny properties in order to make the hairs lustrous. These agents are used to give the shampoo a creamy appearance and you can say less transparent consistency. The glycol stearate can as also known as a glycol monostearate or ethyl glycol monostearate, that is EGMS, and this could be added as a fertilizers and the opacifiers. As far as the evaluation properties or say evaluation parameters are concerned, these are the different evaluation parameter by which the shampoos they can be evaluated. So generally the physical appearance and the visual inspection that can be used in order to evaluate the shampoos. The first is that is the clarity, second is the foam producing capability, and the fluidity. Fluidity, that is the ability of the shampoo so that it will come out of container. It should come out easily, but it should not spill out of container. That is the necessity. Clarity based on the type of shampoo which is to be prepared, which is to be manufactured, whether it should be transparent or semi-transparent or opaque. Based on that, the test that need to be performed. Foam producing capability, it is the ability of the shampoo to produce the foam, to produce the lather, and to maintain it. The stability and the ability of the foam generation that can be evaluated. Determination of pH. The pH that is most important, it should be optimum so that it should not produce any damaging effect onto the hairs. At the same time, it should not be irritant onto that of the scalp skin. The pH is determined by making 10% shampoo solution in distilled water and then measuring pH using a pH meter at room temperature of 25 degrees Celsius. And the acceptable limit for the pH is between 4 to 9. So between the range of 4 to 9, there should be a pH for the, there should be a ideal pH for the shampoo kinds of preparations. Rheological properties, the viscosity is important while formulating the shampoo Too high and too low viscosity is not desired as it creates difficulty during use of shampoos. As I said that if it is too much viscous, it is very difficult to come out of that. Although say every has its advantages and disadvantages. If it is too much viscous, it is very difficult to come out. If it is too much viscous, the spillage problem is not there. If it is too much low viscous at that time, it will come out of the container very easily, but at the same time the chances of spillage are there. So that's why the optimum viscosity that need to be maintained, it should not be too much low, it should not be too much high. At the same time, it should have the ideal optimum viscosity. The viscosity of the shampoo that can be determined by using the Brookfield viscometer. The dirt dispersion. Now, in order to perform this, what we need to do, we have to take the 2 drops of the shampoos. We need to add it into the water and 1 gram of 1 drop of Indian ink that need to be added. And then the it should be shaken 10 times and the content of the foam that is recorded, whether it is heavy, moderate, light or none. So based on these observations we can decide or we can determine or we can evaluate the dirt dispersion. The foam ability and the foam stability. In order to perform this, what we need to do, we have to take the 50 ml of the 1% shampoo solution, and that was to be put into a 250 ml graduated cylinder. Then this cylinder need to be covered with the hand and shaken for 10 times. The 10 times shaking, that means just as we used to do shaking for a bottle for an emulsion or suspension, just by holding it between fingers and just to go on shaking it, right? So that is the shaking 10 time. 10 time we need to shake it. The total volume of the foam content after 1 minute shaking that were recorded immediately, and the volume of foam at 1 minute interval for 4 minutes that were recorded. So this is the way by which this foam ability and this stability that need to be evaluated. Surface tension, the surface tension measurement that can be done with the help of the instrument which is said to be this telegometer that is used in order to determine the surface tension, and a 10% shampoo solution that is to be used in order to perform this particular. This stereometer has to be uh, placed into the shampoo solution, and the capillary tube method or how much it will rise that can be noted down. Eye irritation test. About 1% of the shampoo solution that is instilled dropwise into the eyes of 6 albino rabbits. The eyes, these are observed for any kind of irritation or damage and recorded at definite interval over a gap of 4 seconds. Wetting action, the canvas disc is used. It is 1 inch in diameter, is floated on the surface of a solution, and the time required for it to sink is measured accurately. So you can see that here in this picture you will going to find there is a wetting, and in this you will going to find there is a non-wetting. Detergency and the cleansing action. In order to perform this, we need to take the 5 gram of sample of the soiled human hair. What do you mean by the soiled human hair? It means, say, the hair without washing. Let's say, for example, if the person that is coming from outside or from the dirt or from the dust or from the roads where there is lots of dust and dirt is there. So such a hair, these are said to be the soiled human hair. These are in contact with that of the soil. Okay. That is placed at 35 degrees Celsius in water containing 1 gram of shampoo. The flask is shaken 50 times a minute for 4 minutes. That means 200 times it should be shaken. The washed, then it is to be washed with sufficient amount of water, and after filtering the hairs are dried and weighed. The amount of soil is removed under these conditions that is to be calculated. As far as the packaging of shampoos are concerned, these are going to be packed in a, plastic pouches, or the sachet kind of packaging is there. It should be such that it should not get spilled out of that. These are very elegant. These are very aesthetic as far as the packaging is concerned. So packaging must be able to protect the product from the environmental conditions, like say the light, air, water, etc., etc., humidity. The packaging must not be reactive with the product. The packaging material that should not react with that of the product. It should maintain its integrity. It should not import to the product order. It should not offer any kind of its own order to that of the product. So the integrity or the nature, or say, they should be inert as far as the products are concerned, in simple term. The packaging material must be non-toxic, isn't it? It should not produce its effect onto the product. The sachets, these are the very small pouches which are very flexible, require very less storage space and easy to carry along. So they will save the money and they are easy to carry. That is the advantages associated with the sachet kind of the products. The shampoos, they can be packed into the different types of plastic bottles of the different shapes, isn't it? As you can see in this picture, there are n number of shapes in which the shampoos are available into the market. So this is as far as the shampoos are concerned, their definition, their formulation, and their evaluation. Now let's move to the next formulation of the lipstick, that is said to be the formulation of the cosmetic, that is said to be the lipstick. Yes, very correct. These are the sticks. These are the sticks which will contain the coloring agent, isn't it? And these are used in order to apply onto the, yes, very correct. These are going to be applied onto the lips. Absolutely right. Right. Now, when these are going to be applied onto the lips, that means we know that this is again in order to improve the appearance of the lips. And we know that the lips skin, that is very delicate, that is very soft. So if we think about any kind of formulation which is to be applied onto the lips, then we have to have some of the considerations, like say the product that should be easy to apply, that should not spill off, or it should be written there, or it should not get washed with the saliva, isn't it? Right. So all these are the, while applying, it should not produce damage onto that of the lips. So all these are the ideal requirement when we are going for formulation and even formulation of a lipstick kind of formulation, right? So there are another formulation which are said to be the lip balm. Again, the same kind of ideal characteristic and the ideal properties are expected. Then there are some of the preparations, like say, which are used in order to make the lips shiny. So again, these are the lip brush, right? Uh, so these are the different kinds of preparations. As far as the lipsticks are concerned, what it is a cosmetic product which will contain the pigment, oils, waxes, and emollients that are that apply color, texture, and protection to that of the lips. So what the lipstick will do? They will apply color to that of the lips. Lips. Not only that, they will protect the lips, right? Protect the lips from that of the cracking, from that of the effect of the atmospheric air, like say in case of the winter season, they will subject to that of the cracking and chipping. So lipstick, as far as the definition is concerned, these are the cosmetic products that are used to impart color and shine to the lips, and also used to protect the lips from cracking, drying due to exposure of dust and different weather conditions. So the weather condition, they had their effect onto the lips, most basically, as I mentioned, into the winter season. So if you see the ideal property, as already I discussed with you generally in general discussion, so they should be uniform color to the area of application. They should offer uniform application of the color only to that of the regions of the lips, and it should not get spread over onto that of the others other skin of the face. Should have smooth appearance to the lips during the process of application. They should give the smooth texture, smooth nature, smooth appearance. There should not be abrasion onto the lips. The stability toward the environmental condition, as I said, that these are the sticks. So when these are the sticks, their consistency that should be such that they should not affect in case of the extreme colds and extreme temperature conditions, like say, winter and the summer seasons in the countries like India, respectively. So they should completely free from that of the grittiness. The melting point should be high enough, This is important. In order to get this, we have to use the blend of different kinds of the waxes and oils, and they should have the pleasant taste and the lasting color. Once it is to be applied, the color that should remain for a longer period of time. As far as the raw materials are concerned, which are used in order to produce the lipstick, we are using the waxes, oils, pigments, and dyes, alcohol, and the fragrances, and then the preservatives and the antioxidants. The mixture or the combination of the waxes and oils that is to be blended, that is to be prepared in order to get the desired consistency, the soft nature, as at the same time that is having easy applicability and should withstand the forces during the process of application onto that of the lips. Pigments and dyes, again, these are the pigment, these are from obtained from the natural sources like say plants and the insects. Dyes, these are synthetically prepared compound and generally the DNC approved dyes, DNC approved colors that are to be used in case of the cosmetic preparations. Alcohols and the fragrances, that is in order to give the fragrance, and preservatives, these are to be added in order to protect them, in order to avoid the process of contamination and the microbial growth. Antioxidants are added because this will contain oils and the waxes. So there are chances that they will subject to that of the oxidation. So in order to protect the waxes and oils, antioxidants need to be added. Either they can go for self oxidation or they can go for scavenging of the uh, released free radicals so that they can protect the product. As far as the waxes are concerned, a blend, a combination of waxes of different melting point need to be selected, like say the cardamom wax, pitaya seed oil, beeswax, candelilla wax, and the virgin cotton oil. So ozokerite wax, it is a white crystalline, odorless, and tasteless solid made up of blend of paraffin and the microcrystalline waxes. Candelilla wax is also very widely used in case of the lipstick preparations. As far as oils are concerned, oil these are added in order to give lipstick its shiny and the translucent effect. So castor oil, vegetable oil, lanolin, and the mineral oil, these are very widely added in case of the cosmetic products, like say the lipsticks and all. Pigments and dyes, these are used in lipstick in order to impart the desired color or shade to the lipstick. So generally the bismuth oxychloride, manganese violet, and the titanium dioxide, these are added. And DNC red number 6, DNC red number 21. Again, these are the approved colors by the Drug and Cosmetics Act, approved by the FDA. Alcohol and fragrance. Alcohol is used as a solvent for the wax, and oil is used in making the lipstick. Fragrance is used for imparting a pleasant scent to the lipstick and to mask the smell of the other ingredient. The lipstick, that is the combination of the waxes and the oils. So sometimes they will impart their own uh, odor. So in order to mask that odor and to give the pleasant feel, the fragrances are added. As far as preservatives and the antioxidants are concerned, the purpose already explained it to you. The preservative like say methyl paraben and the propyl paraben, these are generally added. And antioxidants like say gallic acid, propyl gallate, BHA, that is the butoxyhydro BHA, butylated hydroxyanisole, and butylated hydroxytoluene, that is BHA and the BHT respectively. As far as the manufacturing process of the lipsticks are concerned, generally, in order to prepare these lipsticks, what we need to do, we have to follow a series of steps. Like say, first we need to select the colors. They need to be grinded. They need to be melted, and they need to be mixed. Then these are to be added into the molds. That is said to be the molding. Then flaming is done in order to hide the openings or give the smooth structure to that of the lipsticks, and then finally these are going to be packed into the suitable packaging. So generally they had the specialized kind of packaging. As far as the color grinding is concerned, the colors like say the pigments and the dyes, these are available in the amorphous form, and they need to be converted into the powder form. So the basic difference between this amorphous and the powder form is that it is just like cubes of the cataju and all, isn't it? So which is naturally available, not available in the form of crystalline, but it is the powdered one, but it is in the close contact, so that the powder is not there. So in that case, there is a need to subject it to the process of grinding in order to produce the powder. So generally it has to be passed through a mill. Then there is a knife, so that knife is used in order to in order to collect the powder. So generally the roller mill and the colloidal mills are used in order to collect the powder for the pigments. Mixing and melting, generally the solvent, oils and the waxy material, these are melted in separate stainless steel container. The solvents and the oils are mixed with the color pigment. The mixture is passed through the roller mill for grinding the pigments to avoid the grainy feel in lipsticks. And this is added to hot wax until uniform color and the consistency that is to be obtained. Next step is the molding. So molding, that is nothing but the getting the shape, right? So there are molds, there are metallic molds which are to be held with each other with the help of the screws, with the help of the nuts. And when these are in close contact, the two equal halves, they will form a shape into which the materials that is responsible in order to form the lipstick that is to be added, then it is to be subjected to that of the freezing temperature, so that the the lipstick, they can be form, or they can take up the shape of the mold. Then the screws that will be removed, or it will be unscrewed, the two equal halves, they should be taken out, and from which the mold or the shape, properly shaped lipsticks that are going to be obtained. Okay. The melted mass is dispensed into a mold which consists of bottom portion of metal and a shaping tube. So lipstick is poured upside down so that the bottom of the tube is at the top of the mold. Any excess material that is scraped out, the lipstick is cooled and separated from the mold, and bottom of the tube is sealed. The lipstick is passed through flaming test to seal the pinholes and to give finish to that of the product. It is subjected to that of the flaming because the lipstick that will contain some pinholes onto its surface, and in order to seal these, there is a need to go for the process of flaming. Evaluation, as far as the evaluation of the lipsticks are concerned, so color control, that is the particular test. The colorimetric equipment is used in order to control the color. This equipment gives a numerical reading of these shades when mixed so that it can be matched with the previous batch. So there should be a matching. There should not be a color variation between the different batches. So that's why the color match that should be carried out. Determination of melting point, standard melting point apertures that is to be used in order to determine the melting point. Softening point, softening point, this particular test that should be used, that is should be resistant to varying temperature so that it can be used in all weather conditions. And it is done by ring and ball method, and it ranges from 50 to 500 degree Celsius. The microbial testing, this is done by a plating a known mass of sample onto two selected culture media suitable for the growth of bacteria, and the sample is incubated for specific time and observed for any growth of bacteria. So that should be free from that of the bacteria, or the effect of the preservative that can be determined by using this particular test. Breaking load test, this is the test that is to be performed onto the lipsticks in order to determine the strength. So the protruded lipstick is subjected to a number of weights hanging from it. The weight at which the lipstick break is its breaking load. So continuously we have to go on adding the weights to that of the lipsticks. Rancidity, this is again the test which is to be performed onto the lipstick because it will contain oils, so it will subject to that of the rancidity upon longer storage. So that is because of the oxidative, hydrolytic and the microbial contamination. So decomposition of the fats and oils and other lipids by hydrolysis of the oxidation, it led to the development of a bad odor test and sticky nature. So it is tested by determining the peroxide numbers. So peroxide number, it is the particular test by which we can go for determining the rancidity evaluation. So what we saw up till now, we had gone through the shampoos and we had gone through the lipsticks, in which we saw that what these are, what are their ideal properties, what is their formulation, how these are going to be manufactured, and how these are going to be evaluated.